So it's not going to be dazzling Walt Disney. It's not going to be a big production. It's just an intellectual discussion of things which most people have never heard of. And so, sometimes it may even sound a little dry, but it's just me by myself doing the best I can with what I have to work with.
Well, I have
And
to say,
so,
if you have a brain to receive it, it's a treat for the mind, and you don't need the bells and whistles to go along with it. If you ask me, this goes deeper than that, and to entertain people on an intellectual level is the most important thing. If you ask me, Jordan, the content is most important,
that's
not the
what
presentation.
I feel.
Yes,
Exactly. I feel that I'm always far more interested in the intellectual value of what is a person's work. I mean, I sit and I don't care how they're presenting it. I don't care if they're 80 years old and they're slow and they're present. I want to know, what are they saying?
that's right. Yeah.
What is the proof of what they're saying, and where is it that they're getting their information from? Because it's fascinating, and I want to know more about it. I don't care how it's presented. And so I just want to let everybody know it's not, any of my videos are going to be rather quiet, but intellectually stimulating for sure, because I've got stuff out there that's very, very controversial. But that's who I am. That's what I do. I look at the world from a totally different point of view. I'm totally unimpressed with the regular mundane world of academics. I couldn't care less about academics, colleges, universities.
Sure.
I've been all over the world. I've talked to all kinds of people behind the scenes. I've been in the company of people that you have no idea in the world that I even know.
Hello everyone, this is Awakening 2011 and the date is January 1st, 2011. Today I wish to address future generations. I hope this will be easier than trying to talk to those who can make a difference today. Many of them simply won't listen. They can't. They don't care. And it's not entirely their fault. At this point in time, the only certainty is death. But even when it will come is uncertain. I don't know that this message will reach anyone in 10, 20, or 100 years from now. Chances are your generation will either be free, or totally enslaved, or not even there at all. I just feel the obligation to explain what is happening or what happened from your perspective. It is extremely difficult to explain, mainly because we don't have all the facts. Bits and pieces of information come out, and most of the time it takes time to confirm or deny their accuracy. It's much like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle in order to see the bigger picture. What I'm about to share with you is what I've come up with so far. Some of these may be wrong, but I'm fairly confident that it's fairly accurate. We humans, as a species, don't really know where we came from. Our common knowledge of our history spans 8,000 years at best, give or take. The more relatively recent discoveries seem to suggest that our species was created, that is, genetically engineered, by a species from another planet, although the most commonly accepted belief is that we were created by an almighty being called God. The name varies according to where you are, who is believed to be the creator of everything and is believed to be male. And I'm just telling you what most people today consider to be true. Almost as old as humanity, it seems, is this thing called religion. Recent independent studies suggest that most, if not all, religions are variations of the same theme, which we can trace back as far as Babylon and Sumer. These are the first civilizations we know of. If factual records exist of anything before that, they are certainly not in the public domain. Also, as old as religion is government, which is in very simple terms, a minority that makes the decisions on how the majority will live and die. In fact, the first human rulers were called priest kings, combining both religion and government. The gap between the rulers and the ruled has always been quite significant. The rulers have had significantly more wealth and health than the ruled, but more importantly, the rulers have had the monopoly of knowledge, and that, of course, includes technology. Ancient texts from various cultures describe ancient wars waged with technology that we've only begun to understand in the last 60 years or so. It seems these ancient technologies were lost due to those wars, and it took several hundred years to even begin to catch up. Now, here's the trick. At some point in time, roughly at around the 1920s or 1940s AD, the rulers managed to create a gap between the technology they use and the technology available to the rest of the population. They have managed, for instance, to keep the world's population dependent on fossil fuel technology, or, in other words, oil or petroleum-based combustion engines that are highly polluting. And they have kept and suppressed all other alternative forms of energy from the public. Why? Good question. Short answer: for profit and control. This is not to say that other technologies were not developed, because they were actually. They have been kept from the public for the reasons stated above. And the result of this was that the technological gap between rulers and ruled has grown exponentially. Now, allow me to state the obvious. Everyone knows that our planet is politically divided into continents, which are themselves divided into smaller territories called states, countries, or nations. Each nation has its own government, economy, military, and population. Everybody knows that. Well, here's a little known but well documented fact. There is a relatively small group of people who are, in fact, the secret world government. For details into that, please look up the research of Jordan Maxwell, William Cooper, David Icke, and others on the topic. Also called the shadow government, this group has longed for an overt world government, a centralized consolidation of decision-making over every living being on this planet. In order to achieve this goal, the shadow government laid out a long-term plan to be carried out incrementally, that is to say, little by little. To this end, World War I was engineered, funding both sides, and the League of Nations was introduced as a first attempt at world government. It failed miserably. So World War II was engineered, again funding and controlling both sides, and now the United Nations was introduced. This one was more successful, a step towards world domination. It should also be noted that the technological advances achieved during and since World War II have been highly significant, including, most notably, but not exclusively, nuclear weapons, anti-gravity, and mind control. More on that later. Now, let me share with you one of the best kept secrets of the shadow government, which is right up there with the shadow government itself. Somewhere in the early to mid 1900s, the shadow government made contact with extraterrestrial beings, or rather, it was the other way around. And this secret has been kept from the public to this very day. An insider source leaked this information as fiction in the late 1990s through a PC game by the name of Deus Ex, and this was later confirmed by other insiders through William Cooper. The shadow government created a group to negotiate them, This group was named MJ12 or MAJIC Magic 12 or Majestic 12. Further confirmation of this group's existence is found in an interview of Dan Burek by Kerry Cassidy and Bill Ryan of Project Camelot in the mid to late 2000s. But I digress. Back to world history. At the end of World War II, the top Nazi scientists were exported to different nations in the American continent, the so-called New World, under a project by the name of Paperclip, and they were allowed to continue their research. This gave way to the National Aerospace Agency, better known as NASA, among other things. Mind control research was continued under United States of America's CIA project MKUltra and its subsequent offshoots. It should also be noted that NASA ran two parallel space programs, the public one and the secret one. All black ops or secret programs were partially funded with taxes, but mostly through the CIA's drug trafficking, which is a topic in itself. Everything I'm telling you is documented. How else would I know about it? Yet most people today don't have a clue. Why? Mind control started on an individual scale. As time went by, both the technologies, the techniques, and the understanding of it improved. It eventually reached the point where mass mind control was possible. Now, it's essential to understand that the groups created by the shadow government understood the importance of public perception. Even commercial organizations like Coca-Cola spend millions each year in order to maintain an image that the public will find acceptable. It's important, and they know it, and mind control plays a role in all of this. Ever heard of subliminals? These are signals that bypass the conscious mind and directly affect the subconscious. Well, after World War II, things progressed quietly and quickly. Eugenics, or population control, a lifelong hobby, or one might say obsession, of the shadow government, also improved during these years, mainly through vaccinations. Another important lesson learned through and after two world wars, along the lines of mind control, was propaganda, and this later evolved into psyops, or psychological operations. The latest politically correct term for mind control is mood management. It should be noted that there have been more wars since the creation of the United Nations than in all of humanity's history before it. That statement is so staggering that I will say it again. There have been more wars since the creation of the United Nations than in all of humanity's history before it. However, after World War II, nobody wanted war, so these were relatively brief wars. All sponsored by the shadow government, of course. But that wasn't enough. They wanted all the toys. And they can't do it overnight, or everyone will notice. So the plan is to create superstates, just like the European Union. These are socio-political blocks that contain many nations, all of which are subordinate to the centralized decisions of the superstate. Local currencies are replaced by a new one, like the euro. The result? Power is further taken away from the individual and concentrated into fewer hands, you guessed it, of the shadow government. But what about the countries or nations that are not yet absorbed into superstates? How does the shadow government break them down? Well, easy. They place puppet presidents that sell the nation to international shadow government-owned organizations such as the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, the World Bank, etc. Once the nation is in debt, it is forced to dance to the shadow government's tune. But all of this takes time, and the shadow government is running out of time. It needed a catalyst. Enter September 11th, 2001. What happened exactly? Well, the official version is that a bunch of Muslim terrorists who lived in caves in Afghanistan managed to hijack several commercial airplanes in the most secure airspace on Earth and crashed two of them into the World Trade Center, the financial center of the world at that time, and one of them into the Pentagon, the military intelligence center of the United States. The fires from those plane crashes caused 3 buildings to crumble to the ground at near free fall speed. Bullshit. That is the mother of all conspiracy theories. If we were to believe that, then not only the mightiest military power in the world is a joke, but so are the very laws of physics. Yet many people still believe that's what happened. Fortunately, 9 years after the event, several independent investigations have documented almost every aspect of the 9/11 fraud. They have proven, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that it was an inside job, a psyop, a false flag attack. That event was followed by train bombings in both the United Kingdom and Spain, all of them documented inside jobs, and the world was never the same again. That was the excuse the shadow government needed to start taking the people's freedoms worldwide, invading countries, imprisoning people, torturing people, killing people. But wait, you say, how could the people of the world stand for it? Why didn't anyone say anything? Well, some did, but they were a minority. What about the rest? Well, remember we talked about mind control? It turns out that by then, the shadow government had developed and started using every warmongering dictator's wet dream, HARP. An innocent-looking facility in the northern part of Alaska, HARP is a multi-purpose weapon. It allows weather modification, which can create extremely powerful lightning and earthquakes. It can also create patterns or drawings in the sky. Oh, and it can also create ELF or extra low frequency waves, perfectly capable of mood management. Yup, mass mind control. It's all documented. I wish I were making all of this up, but I'm not. And there's more. As of December 2009, a program by the name of Codex Alimentarius is in effect worldwide. It basically states that all nutrients are illegal. I wish I were making this up, but again, it's all documented. Plus, genetically modified food has been systematically replacing organic food. Crops are genetically modified so that the seeds can only be used once. The seeds you get from that crop are sterile. So you need to buy more seeds every time. Gee, thanks, Monsanto. You might say, no way, how could people allow this? Most people don't know. They're too busy trying to make a living in an ever-worsening world economy. A debt-based economy designed to transfer all actual wealth to the banks. And who owns the banks? You guessed it, the shadow government. And believe it or not, there's even more. An alarmingly high percentage of the world's population is on drugs. And I'm not talking about marijuana, LSD, or any of those. No. I'm talking about prescription drugs, legal drugs, produced by the pharmaceutical cartels. Drugs that deal with the symptoms, not with the causes of diseases. So maybe now you understand a little better why I said at the beginning that I'm not sure this message will reach anyone in the future. But if it does, and you find all these things I'm saying hard to believe, I have a treat for you. I'm assuming that all the information available to me or us at this time may not be around in your time. So if this message managed to survive, here's what I want you to do. Go to a place called Georgia in the United States of America. There you will find a granite monument. It's called the Georgia Guidestones. There you will find, in 8 languages, the shadow government's suggestions for mankind. Do not be fooled by the benign appearance of the message. Notice the suggested limit for human population. That is approximately 5% of the current world's population. What they propose is genocide on a never-before-seen level, killing 95% of the world's population. How is that benign? Everything I have shared with you here so far is documented fact. Yet the question remains in my mind. Why? Why go to all that trouble? Why such a massive attack on humanity? I have my own theories, but they're just that, theories. I cannot prove them. I can only conclude that there is a non-human element or factor at work. I don't know what it is, only that it's not human. Please know that I tried. We tried. Some of us. Many of us. We know we cannot do this alone. I estimate that right now we are between 1 and 5% of the world's population who are aware. We need more. If we can get 95% of the world population to wake up, we could change all these overnight without any violence, without any conflict. I have hope. I have faith in humanity. This is a unique opportunity. It's been given to us in a silver platter. So tell me, did we make it?